farmer stroke brewer from outside Carrickmacross in County Monaghan, and I'm just here to give us a quick synopsis of how you start up a brewery, the trials and tribulations. So just to give us an introduction, I just run a quick video of where we are, where our brew house is situated. A nice piece of cheap bit of advertising there. So basically we'll start off anyway. How we got into it? Well, it's like a lot of things. It started on a session to drink one night at a dinner party, and this English friend of mine came in with a selection of beers from England, and the new beers like Galway Hooker and the Porterhouse range. And we sat down and we opened them and were drinking them. I'd always drunk and interested in the craft beers. So we sat down, 6 or 7 of us, and we started talking about how the movement was going, you know. So the next morning I got up with a sore head, and I sort of thought about it, and I looked around, sitting on the farm milking the cows with the sore head again, and realised that there was no craft brewery in the counties of Cavan, Monaghan and Louth at the time. So sort of the seed had sort of germinated at this stage in the head. Decided I'd look for maybe a premises, so I looked around the yard. I had a calf shed full of calves, I had a machinery shed full of machinery. I decided I'd take the calves out of the shed, put them in another shed, take the machinery and park it behind the ditch. Anyway, so Make a long story short, we went and we looked at finance, went to the bank, got a bit of a term loan, decided then we'd see what was out there. So Monaghan Enterprise was approached, the head of Monaghan Enterprise came out, sat around the table with us. If you've ever heard of Celtic Periods, probably see their images there around the Viva during match days for Ireland. They're only down the road from us. So they backed a lad the same as ourselves with a well under a garage about 9-10 years ago, and he's been going on now to achieve major things. So basically they took a liking to us anyway after the cup of tea and the cake, and decided to back us. So, as I said, not very much experience in the brewing end at the time, plenty of experience obviously in the tasting and the drinking of it. So off we went with a few bob, went over to England, done a couple of training courses, went and visited a few breweries, done a lot of trial brews, went down to Devon, done the same, went and we sourced our equipment. So our equipment came, I suppose, in January 2014. So there we were, sitting on a dairy farm, making 120 cows, ready to take off with the brewing, not much experience. So we said, feck it, what we'll do is we'll go and we'll hire a head brewer. So I rang Shane Long, didn't know Shane Long that long, went and approached him anyway and asked him was there any lads out there that had come through him. So he recommended Phil Bazal. So Phil came up, had seen our website which had gone up at the time with the brews that we were thinking of doing, and he came with a carbon copy of what we're brewing now. So we hit the ground really running with Phil. So that was that. We knew what we were brewing, we had the recipes ready, we had a brewer. Now we hadn't a brewing license at the time. So to get the brewing license we sat down with the local lads from Monaghan Customs and Excise. Us sitting there beside the border in a place called Enniskeane, a place that's quite renowned for the oil industry. So we sat down with Count on one side, myself the other side, Siobhan making the tea, sit down beside us. We chatted away about what we were doing. Nobody had a notion about brewing in Monaghan, as I said, it's a backwater for craft beer at the time. So it was a sort of a standoff. And then one of the girls recognised Siobhan from school days. She said, oh, you're Siobhan Downey, you lived too far away from us, blah, blah, blah. Ice was broken, and we said, look, we thought we were thinking of setting up an oil laundering plant. And we because of the tanks, etc., etc. So that's where you've had anecdotal evidence of what customs will be thinking. So, look, we've had a very good relationship with them since. So when we went anyway, we set the goalposts for the Carrickmacross Festival, which is ran on the June Bank Holiday weekend every year in Carrickmacross, a 3-day festival. So we done 3 brews. We went to local pubs, we canvassed them. I played a bit of ball in my time, so I was pretty well known around the Monaghan area for being a dirty hatchet man playing fullback. Anyway, so went on and we canvassed 5 pubs in Carrickmacross. We got taps in. We took a stall on the street. We started selling the beer on the street. The first day we sold over 2,000 bottles. We approached the local super value, they took in beer, and I remember Eugene O'Gorman was the local proprietor, and we were just finishing off the haven and the phone rang. It was Eugene, and I says, Jesus Christ, I'm after poisoning half the country. What's Eugene ringing me this time of the night? He says, we need more beer, your beer's flying. So that was quite encouraging anyway. So the 5 taps that I'm happy to say are still pouring quite strongly in Carrickmacross over a range. So to get us off the ground and as I said, in an area that had no tradition of craft beer whatsoever, the Super Value Food Academy was in its infancy at the time. So we joined, Siobhan, my wife, joined up in it, and we came through it with our beers. So as you know, with the Food Academy you have to go and do tastings. So off we went again with a wee stand down to Monaghan, the provincial, or the county town of County Monaghan, and set up in Fleming Super Value of a Saturday. And my daughter was with Siobhan, and they set up and they were handing out the samples as you do, and people was walking past them, and then another one would come over, jeez, that's terrible stuff, you know. But you realise that half of them had never drunk craft beer and the other half were teetotalers. Monaghan people don't drink very much. So anyway, that was the humbling beginnings. We came through the Food Academy. Look, Monaghan was hard to crack. We cracked it. We were pouring in about 50 pubs now. in the Monaghan area. Now we started off with two very sessionable beers, we call them. Killarney Red, which was after our parish, which is Killarney. It's a 4.5 ABV. It's a mimic of colours of Franciscan Wild Red or Smithwick's or Macarians, which is very popular in the area. And then we done also a Brehon Blonde. Everyone does a blonde. So we sort of that didn't go out too well, did it? we sort of started sessioning them too anyway, and they were our two stables. So then we developed an IPA and we developed a Shango Duck Porter going forward. That was it. So Monaghan was cracked, and then the next thing was then to see if could we get a bit further. So we went into Dundalk, into the Louth area, and into Cavan, done the Taste of Cavan and Taste of Louth, and demand sort of exploded. So it was a bit of a laugh then. We had it was a laugh at the time. We had a brewery producing beer, 10 barrel plant, producing 50 kegs on a run, or 3,000 bottles. And by the way, as you see on the video there, all our beers are bottle conditioned, and they're also hand bottled and hand capped at the minute. So we ended up in a situation where we were a brewery without any beer. We hadn't got enough beer to supply the demand at the time. As we were developing through the Super Value Academy, we were getting more widespread through the country. So we sat down again and went to Mountain Enterprise again, and we doubled capacity there in the spring of last year. And now at the minute we're back to the same problem again of capacity versus demand. You know, our problem at the minute being that we're producing a premium product which is bottle conditioned, which takes 2 or 3 weeks in a hot room to carbonate up. Now the keg situation is quite fine. As I said, you know, it's forced carbonate, it's filtered down, but the other is it's unfiltered, it's unpasteurized. It gives a distinct flavour. So our problem at the minute is we wanted to go again and expand again, and probably put in a bottling plant in the near future. So look at, I'm not going to keep this much longer. I can smell the dinner from here. But look at, it's not easy out there. But again, the community has been very good to us. You know, anyone we've gone for advice to have encouraged us, have helped us, and you know, I suppose going forward, we'd be very thankful to them. Now, as I said, we're sitting 7 miles from the border. Sitting, as I say, we're arse to the border. So the next move last spring was to see could we get the green ribbon, as I call it, around South Armagh to start taking our beer. So we have actually been very successful there. We've taps pouring in that area. We've gone into the north, you know, as far as Belfast with our product as well. And I suppose now the next move would be to try to get product off the island, which we successfully have done in the last few weeks. We've got a few runs over to London and a wee bit to France. But as I said, it's not easy. You know, you jump out of one hole and you jump into another. You know, you think you're home and hosed, you think you're, you know, at capacity is as far as I can go, and then all of a sudden something else crops up and eats up another 150 to 100k. But thank God, so far the journey's been very successful. Thank you very much.